to receive from him the influx of heaven, and thereby to become enlightened. Now, let's go to page 72, towards the bottom of the page. However, although the garden is he, it is not his. All his perceptions are activated in him by the Lord. The day when he considers that he can perceive from himself, that is, when he will want to investigate the arcana of faith and of the supersensory worlds, relating them to sensory things, to scientific things, which are knowledges of the external memory. On that day, the death of his celestial nature will occur. Now let's go to page 14 of Swedenborg and Esoteric Islam by Henry Corbin, translated by Leonard Fox. For henceforth it is where the place that resides in the soul. It is the corporal substance that resides in the spiritual substance. It is the soul that encloses and bears the body. This is why it is not possible to say where the spiritual place is situated. It is not situated, it is rather that which situates. It is situative. Its ubi is an oblique. Certainly, there may be topographical correspondences between the sensory world and the mundus imaginalis, one symbolizing with the other. However, there is no passage from one to the other without a breach. Many accounts show us this. One sets out at a given moment. There is a break with the geographical coordinates that can be located on our maps, but the traveler is not conscious of the precise moment. He does not realize it with disquiet or wonder until later. If he were aware of it, he could change his path at will, or he could indicate it to others. But he can only describe where he was. He cannot show the way to anyone. Now, let's go to page 23. These manifestations never occur except at the initiative of the Imam, and if he appears most often in the guise of a young man of supernatural beauty, almost always, subject to exception, the person granted the privilege of this vision is only conscious afterwards, later, of whom he has seen. A strict incognito covers these manifestations. That is why the religious events here can never be socialized. Now, let's go to page 25 of Swedenborg and Esoteric Islam by Henry Corbin. Here, we jump in the middle of a classic Islamic legend. Finally, as if according to the law of the eighth climate, ardent desire has shortened space. The 7 ships arrive somewhat in advance and make their entry into the port. From the largest of the ships descends a sheikh of noble and commanding appearance, with a handsome face and magnificent clothes. A conversation begins, and our pilgrim realizes with astonishment that the sheikh already knows everything about him, his name and his origin. The sheikh is his companion, and he tells him that he has come to find him. Together they will leave for the Green Island. This episode bears a characteristic feature of the Gnostic's feeling everywhere and always. He is an exile, separated from his own people, whom he barely remembers, and he has still less an idea of the way that will take him back to them. One day, though, a message arrives from them, as in the Song of the Pearl, in the Acts of Thomas, as in the Tale of Western Exile by Sojouner. Here, there is something better than a message. It is one of the companions of the Imam in person. Our narrator exclaims movingly, "Upon hearing these words, I was overwhelmed with happiness. Someone remembered me. My name was known to them." Was his exile at an end? From now on, he is entirely certain that the itinerary cannot be transferred onto our maps. So here, in the Mundus Imaginalis, somehow the traveler started off in reality and ended up in the Mundus Imaginalis. However, he has a feeling of exile, that he is lost from his companions in the Mundus Imaginalis. This feeling of exile is somewhat in common with imaginary territories that I believe in. Also, there is a feeling of a mission that is very strong with imaginary territories that I believe in as well. Now, let's go to page 37 of Swedenborg and Esoteric Islam by Henry Corbin. Nature and history are both the visible, external, exoteric, zahir appearance of the spiritual world, that is, the hidden, the truly real, hakikat, the esoteric, batin. It is in this world that true history is revealed by an approach that is called in Arabic ta'wil, spiritual hermeneutics, a process that consists etymologically in bringing back everything, every event, to its truth, to its archetype, asa, by uncovering the hidden and concealing the appearance. Now let's go to page 41. As Swedenborg repeats frequently in the course of his immense work, this is the reason that so few people know what representations and correspondences are. In order to know, it is necessary, in fact, to know that there is a spiritual world distinct from the natural world, and that the things which are diffused throughout the natural world from the spiritual world are representations of spiritual things. They are given this name because they represent the latter, and they represent them because they correspond to them. That is, they symbolize with them. Now, let's go to page 66 of Swedenborg and Esoteric Islam by Henry Corbin. Unfortunately, because of the Ecclesia Christiana extinguished this flame, divine influx does not open among them except in partial. Casey Waters Show. Producer Casey Waters. Graphic editing Judson Laird. Please note our new email address, CaseyWaters2@CaseyWaters.com.